Hey guys, it's your friendly local otaku coming at you with the truth! And I'm back for my mini vacation. Yeah, thanks for asking guys. But enough about me, let's talk about Vinland Saga. By the way, we'll only be covering the anime, not the manga. And there will be spoilers. Okay, gotcha. So, let's get into my favorite part of the video. Context in history, baby! Woo! So when thinking about Vikings, what do you see? What a lot of people's image of a Viking would be from that one show, Vikings. You imagine these zealots of violence with those massive horns shouting from their helmets while screaming about Valhalla. It's quite the contrast to this ragtag group of mercenaries. Yet historically, Vinland Saga's Vikings depiction is far more accurate. The fantastical version of the Viking warrior we're spoon-fed through most media is just that. Fantasy. In reality, they were really just people with different beliefs than those they pillage. More pirate than anything else, raiding and bringing home their plunder before the winter, only to repeat the cycle the following year. Mangaka Masato Yukimaru quite obviously did his research and strived to include as much into this fantasy as possible while taking elements of historical accounts from the Saga of Greenlanders and the Saga of Eric the Red and built his story with detailed historical accuracy. I think this is important. As much as anime fans can find themselves obsessed with Japan, I mean, I'm clearly obsessed with Japan. Clearly, the Japanese romanticize parts of Western culture as well. I haven't even read these books, but even though we have all of this historical evidence and history, there are still a lot we don't know about the Vikings. Like the Yom Vikings, these mercenaries were considered an elite group of conquerors, said to be extremely selective in who would join their ranks and even more strict on those within their order. It is also known that they were forbidden to show fear or flee in the face of an enemy of equal or inferior strength, only allowing retreat when a massive force would overwhelm them. There's very little that can be stated as fact about the Yom's Vikings due to the lack of primary sources regarding them. It's in this void of uncertainty that Yukimaru builds his characters, creating the legendary Yom Viking Thor's the Troll. It's with Thor's that the fiction begins to merge with the historical, creating an entirely new history within what really happened. Okay, so we got all that icky, boring stuff out of the way. Let's talk about plot and characters. Vinland Saga is fundamentally a revenge story from the perspective of our main character, Thorfinn, who is taken under the wing of his father's killer, Askeladd. So let's take a second and focus on the character Thor, because Thor is amazing. His character arc spans the entire story, even though he's not in most of it. The power of his ideals are so strong that it has an everlasting effect on every character he comes across. In episode 1, Thor saves a slave from the Winter Code, and when talking to the slave, he pleads with Thor not to be shackled. This obviously strikes a chord with Thor, a man who attempts to break his own chain and free himself from his past life to start anew. Vinland Saga is filled with people chained to something in their past, and from the very first episode, the show is beginning to hammer in that lesson, that the price to break your chain is often unreasonable at best and insurmountable at worst. Everyone is a slave to something. Now, let's focus in on one of the best character dynamics you can find here, which is, of course, between Thorfinn and Askeladd. On the surface, Thorfinn seems pretty one-dimensional. His singular, linear goal of wanting to win Askeladd's favor enough to be awarded with a duel, this obsession, this one thing that has been living rent-free in Thorfinn's mind, the chains that keep him binded to this man named Askeladd. Speaking of Askeladd, I love this man, so let me get this out of the way real fast. I enjoy watching antagonists, villains, whatever you want to call them, and in my opinion, Askeladd is one of the best written ones. Askeladd is a cunning risk-taker and commander of the Vikings hired to take out Thor's. I do want to make sure we recognize that Askeladd is based on a Norse folklore character. He is in a number of folklore tales and is generally characterized as the youngest, smallest, and weakest of his family, while being clever, bold, and patient, and ends up successful in the end. In the folktales, Askeladd has two brothers who often fail to remedy various crises due to their uninspired conventional solutions to the problems. Askeladd succeeds where his brothers failed, using far more creative, cunning, and unconventional solutions. And interestingly, no matter what the odds, Askeladd comes out on top. It's curious that the first introduction of an antagonist is based off a folklore hero who always ends up winning. It's just important to know that Askeladd is based off a hero, yet here he is written as a villain. For those in the know, This is some heavy foreshadowing that Aslak isn't who he initially seems, and there's far more going on under the surface. That being said, he's a real bastard one way or another, a pirate, a cutthroat, a sneak, a schemer, a bootlicker when he needs to be. But again, there's that humanity there that keeps you rooting for him. And these are only some of the characters you meet that make Vinland Saga. You have the real OG Levi Erikson, the real Chad that discovered North America, not that beta ass, bitch ass, Christopher Columbus motherfucker. What the fuck? Oh jeez. Anyways, we also have Canute and Thorkill. Probably said that wrong. That was just overall brings spice to the story. So, Vinland Saga's message.
Lance, what about the animation? Talk about the animation, Lance. Come on.
Okay, I'll get this out of the way. Shut up, bitch. The animation direction, art style, storyboarding, and pacing are all absolutely god tier. It's made by Wit Studio, the people that made Attack on Titan. The anime is eye-gasm's level of beautiful, and they did an absolute justice to Vinland Saga. Alright? You're not getting any garbage anime adaptation. Shit player, this is first class animation. It's gorgeous. So now, back to what I was saying. Everything we saw in this show was the wrong approach to an idea. If you look at the results on what happened to everyone, that no one was left with the perfect idealistic mindset that we should try to adopt in our lives. Because Vinland Saga is not telling you how to think. Vinland Saga is not telling you how to feel. Vinland Saga is telling you the story of Thorfinn, a character for the first 24 episodes, and the prologue of his entire life was hit dead on by these four really powerful figures: Thor, Askeladd, Thorkill, and Canute. And he now has to pick and choose and figure out his own path forward, his own way, where he can tackle his ideas and create the Vinland that his father so badly wanted to find. Vinland Saga is not a story about waiting for the hero Arthurius to finally arrive. Vinland Saga is a story about becoming the hero Arthurius. Vinland Saga is not a story about finding the mystical lands of Vinland Saga. Vinland Saga is not about what's real or what's not real. Vinland Saga is about what's making what's not real real. Vinland Saga tells you you can only truly find your heights when you blend idealism and realism and keep pushing it one step further. Now, I'm gonna go craft my Vinland Saga.